Hello, everyone. Welcome to Durrett's Take. It's that time of year. It's time to go over my college football playoff predictions. Now, I won't be going over everything that I would want to go over in a typical podcast. So, therefore, if you want to see everything, you need to go to my LinkedIn page down Durrett, and you can find my article that I'll write that's list all the conference, predictions and expectations for each team, and analysis and even bowl projections and stuff like that. But what I want to do for this podcast, though, is kind of just go over my conference contenders for each conference and then my who I think will make the playoffs. So let's get started with the SEC. Now, even though Georgia's breaking a new quarterback, and Carson Beck, I still feel like Georgia is the clear favorite in the SEC. They have an easy schedule, which helps. But I just think, with the way they're recruiting and all that and their dominance, I just feel like they're gonna, win the SEC once again, or at least win the SEC East. And then after Georgia, it's going to be a three-way battle between Tennessee, South Carolina, and Kentucky, as it kind of was last year, on who will be kind of second, third, and fourth there. I think Tennessee and South Carolina, I think they will kind of tie for second, but I think both teams, they can have. It wouldn't surprise me if they win 10 plus games this year. They have that much high side. Also would surprise me if they maybe regress a little bit from last year and they maybe go 8 or 7. But I think they both, will be at least top 25 caliber teams. Kentucky, I'm not as sure about, but Tennessee, South Carolina, feel like top 25 teams to me. And then SEC West, I know LSU barely won it last year. They weren't exactly pretty in winning the division last year, but I do feel like LSU should win a division once again this year. I do think they'll be better than last year. Now, are they going to be like elite like Georgia? That part I'm kind of hesitant on, but I do feel like should at least win a division again. It could be a Georgia LSU rematch in this SEC title game. And then second, third, I have Alabama and Ole Miss both kind of in the mix there. With Alabama, they're kind of a hard one to predict because Alabama, you know what you're going to get from them usually. You know what you get from Nick Saban teams. And usually, Alabama's obviously had to replace quarterbacks in the past, but when it became Bryce Young's turn, it's like they were calm, cool, collected about it. They were excited for Bryce Young to have his turn. Sure enough, you proved us right. They were excited about Mac Jones having his turn. They were excited about Tua having his turn. They put him in the championship game once Hurts was struggling. They were excited about all these quarterbacks, even though they were, new. They were excited about all of them, and they had high expectations for all of them, and they lived up to them. Well, with the three quarterback race with Alabama, it's like there's not that one person. It's like, oh, I'm excited. They're going to be another, top 10, draft pick. Like there's none of that right now. And the fact, like, Nick Saban keeps on pleading to the media, hey, like, I don't know who my quarterback is. Like, I need one of these quarterbacks to step up and take command of the offense. I need one of them to show me why they should be the quarterback. None of them separate. It's like, that part is a concern to me. So that's why I feel like, I don't think, like, Bama's gonna, like, fall off a cliff or anything. But it's like, if they don't win 10 games, if they go, like, 9-3, for example, that wouldn't shock me at all. Now, of course, if they, like, make the playoffs, then that will show how good of a coach Nick Saban is, to not going from not knowing who your quarterback is to playoffs. But I feel like this is again a good Alabama team, but I don't feel like they're like a championship contender like they have been in past years. Like I said, Ole Miss good. Arkansas and A&M also be good as well, and they can maybe be in the mix as well. But Arkansas has defensive issues, and A&M we just got to see it to believe it, since they vastly disappointed last year. So now for the Pac-12, it's weird that in the last year at the conference, basically, it's going to be one of his best years ever. Like, there's so many good teams and good quarterbacks. To me, I was flipping back. I guess to me, like, I think USC and Washington will make the Pac-12 title game, and I had USC winning for the longest time. But I've kind of flip-flopped now to where I think Washington actually is going to win it. Although, again, it could go either way. I just have that much belief in Michael Penix Jr. in the offense. And it basically comes down to both Washington's defense and USC's defense is not that great. It's just a matter of who do you trust more. And in that case, I trust Washington defense more than USC's defense more. As we saw, they got obliterated by Utah and Tulane in the last couple of games. I feel like that's why I'm going to lean towards Washington. Now, both Oregon and Oregon State are both going to be in the mix for sure, especially Oregon State, who has DJ Uiagalelei from Clemson. Like they were like a top 25 program last year, and I feel like they have the easiest schedule amongst contenders within the Pac-12. So therefore, I feel like if Oregon State somehow makes the Pac-12 championship game, that would not shock me at all. I feel like both of those should be a threat. And then, of course, you think about, well, what about Utah as one back to back? Well, Utah is definitely going to be good once again. No, but here's my thing. For one thing, Cam Rising is coming off a knee injury from the Rose Bowl last year, and it looks like he's not not going to be fully 100% in the Florida game in the opener, or he may not even play in the opener. And I feel like that's a concern. But then also, it's just their schedule. They have to, they host Florida, but then they go to Baylor non-conference, and then, I mean, while you do get Oregon at home, you have to go to USC, to Washington, to Oregon State. That's not a favorable schedule at all to say, hey, we're going to win Pac-12 3 times in a row. I'm sorry, I'm not disrespecting Utah there. It's just schedule matters and quarterback health matters, and both of those are kind of question marks right now. So again, Utah's going to make a bowl game. They're not going to fall off a cliff or anything, but I don't think they're going to be like a 10-win plus team this year to win the Pac-12 again. If they do so, it just shows how great, not great, elite of a coach Kyle Whittingham would be. Next, you got Arizona, UCLA. Both will be interesting teams. Both in the mix. Both will have great offenses. But their defense, especially Arizona's defense, is kind of limited from being like true contenders in the Pac-12. But they both will be interesting as well. So now let's go to the Big Ten. With all the players that Michigan are starting quarterback J.J. McCarthy, their running back Blake Corum, their offensive line, most of their defense, just everyone, I feel like Michigan is going to go undefeated in the regular season once again and win the Big Ten. And then you got, then Ohio State and Penn State. Now, a lot of people love Ohio State to not only win the Big Ten, but make the playoffs, and maybe win the championship. That's kind of a hold on here. It's kind of the same situation as Alabama a little bit. They got 2 quarterbacks that are signed on, and neither has separated from themselves. So it's not like where you had C.J. Stroud, you felt comfortable in going into his first season, or Justin Fields, you feel comfortable in his first season going, or Dwayne Haskins, or J.T. Bearwire, like you've had, kind of like Alabama, you had the luxury for the past, 4 or 5 QB cycles of, even when you get a new guy, you feel confident what he's going to do. It's like, in this case, we don't know. I mean, Ohio State has great weapons. Wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. is one of the best players in college football. They have good running backs. Their offensive line is a little bit of question marks. They have to replace both tackles, but under Ryan Day, you're usually going to have a good offense. So it's not like they have to be outstanding, but can they be good enough? That's the question. With Penn State, they're replacing their quarterback, their old quarterback, and they got a new one with Drew Allers. But they're obviously a more run-heavy team. They got 2 elite running backs, one of the best running back tandems in the country. And even though Penn State is at Ohio State, I do feel like Penn State will actually come in second in this race, and Ohio State will be third. Again, all those teams will win at least 10 games, but so it's not like any of them are bad or anything. But that's just kind of what I'm thinking there. As Penn State could finally take a little bit of a step up. And then Maryland, is a little wild card interesting team there because they have a veteran quarterback, a veteran offense and all that. And they gave, like Michigan, Ohio State, scares last year, so they can definitely be interesting. And then the Big Ten West, Illinois I don't think will be as good as last year because they lost a lot of key defenders and all that. So I think it's mainly between Wisconsin and Iowa as far as who's winning the Big Ten West. And I think it'll be Wisconsin just because I like Lou Fickell. I think it's going to bring up a good system like the quarterback he brought in, the SMU transfer, Tanner Mordecai. Wisconsin is going to be running the ball 90% of the time. Now they're going to be more of a, they're still going to run the ball a lot, but now they're going to pass a lot too. So it'll make the offense much more hard to stop. And then in the Big Ten matchup Big Ten title matchup between Michigan and Wisconsin, I'd go Michigan there. And now for the Big 12, now this is like the conference where it's like, I literally don't know what's going to happen from top to towards the bottom there. And like the last couple teams in the Big 12, I can kind of guess, but from like the 11th place up to first place, it's like, I don't know how all it could shake out. I know Texas is the favorite, and I know Texas is usually the favorite mostly every year, and a lot of people give them their flowers in the preseason and all that, but I do think this is finally the year where Texas can at the least make the Big 12 championship game. They just have that many good players. and I feel like they want to have good momentum going to the SEC next year. Then I feel like the other team, I've like gone back and forth between who's going to be with Texas in the Big 12 championship game because I thought about 3 or 4 different teams. But I went ahead and went with the one team who won it last year in Kansas State. Will Howard was playing awesome last year, and with him returning, I feel like he'll continue that hot momentum from last year. And that they do have a bunch of star players like Deuce Vaughn and their star receiver. They have a bunch of players to replace, but I feel like with the program they're building there, that they should be able to reload pretty easily. And then you got like Oklahoma, Texas Tech, who's going to be approved, TCU, Baylor, Oklahoma State, Kansas, BYU, and UCF, all kind of in a bunch there. Like you can pick, however order you want to go there. Um, I won't disagree with you. There a bunch of those teams have good cases on why they should be, high or in the middle of the pack. And then I do think, West Virginia will fight to make a bowl game, but then the other 3 teams, Iowa State, Cincinnati, Houston, will be the bottom Big 12. But now let's go with the ACC. So a lot of people like Florida State to win the ACC this year, and I can understand why. They got a bunch of good players. They had a good ending to last season. But I like Clemson to win it here. They bring in TCU offensive coordinator, Lincoln Riley's brother, who I feel like is going to open up this Clemson offense compared to last year. And with Clay Cummett taking over for DJ Ukulele, I feel like he's a better quarterback option to help, again, make the offense more dynamic. They do have the defensive line to replace, and their best kicker in school history just left, so they have to make sure they have that situation figured out. But I do like Clemson once again to kind of repeat as AC champions, and Florida State, being runners up. And then as far as a couple teams that could be in the mix, North Carolina State could be in the mix. They got Virginia quarterback transfer Brendan Armstrong, who's now reunited with his former offensive coordinator Robert Knight from 2 years ago. When they were together, he was one of the most explosive quarterbacks in the country. So I expect nothing more, especially with NC State's defense also being kind of top 3 in the conference. I feel like North Carolina State could be very interesting. And in North Carolina, obviously, they got Drake May, the quarterback Drake May. They're really good on offensive line, but I just still have defensive question marks. And then Duke, they came out of nowhere last year, and I feel like they could be in contention as well as Pittsburgh, who's usually a good team. So those are kind of my Power 5 conference previews. I won't go over the G5 previews again for the most part. Again, if you want to see that, go to my LinkedIn page down to Red to see all of my previews here. But now, real quick, I want to go over my top 4 teams who will make the playoffs. So number 1, I got Georgia. They'll go undefeated, and I got Georgia. 2, I got Michigan. They'll go undefeated. They'll be in the playoffs, obviously. So that part is the same from last year. So the 3rd team, I have that being Clemson. I feel like, again, with the way the offense is going to be more explosive now and all that, and I feel like it's just time for Clemson to kind of like, stop being, pretty good and get back to being playoff contender good. I feel like this is their year where they can finally do that, with a quarterback they trust more and then good offense coordinator they have, and the recruit numbers are still pulling down. And they'll come in at 12-1 because I do think they won't go undefeated, but they can get as well as conference champion. And then last but not least, 4th team, I had that being a Big Ten team that didn't make it to the Big Ten championship game, like Ohio State kind of was last year, but instead of Ohio State this time, like I kind of mentioned earlier, I think that will be Penn State as a surprise team, because usually there's like 3 teams like, oh, they kind of make the playoffs a lot, but then there's usually one team a lot of years where it's like, okay, you did not see that one coming. So I think that could be Penn State. So thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel, trying about me. Again, I'm looking forward to some college football. I got week 0 tomorrow, so looking forward to that. But again, look at my LinkedIn page down to right to see all of my information on my college football predictions. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.